So I will present some work about Gisela code. This work has been done mainly at CEA, my company, and with some co-workers in Germany, so at HLST, in Atos, France, and in Cellule de Veille technology also. So mainly this work about Gisela optimization on KNL have been done on Marconi system, but I have also used FreeUL here at CNES. So the outline of my talk will be the following. So I will describe briefly the Gisela code and the testbed, and I will focus on 3 bunches of modification we made in order to improve the performance of the code on KNL mainly. I will present a strong scaling and go to the conclusion. So Gisela code is a code that targets fusion energy, like in the previous talk. We are trying to model what is going on inside a tokamak plasma. So here you have the tokamak pictured here. So a set of coils with a plasma confined in it. And the goal of Gisela code is to model the turbulence within this plasma. So we mainly address ETG instability, so an important type of instability in the plasma, because turbulence limits the plasma performance. So it's important to understand and also to predict what is the level of turbulence within the plasma. So we have several modules of physics, so heat and vorticity sources that mimics the heating system, collisional operators, and adiabatic or kinetic electron response. 2 equations are solved mainly. So the gyrokinetic Vlasov equation over a 5D phase space, and the Poisson equation in 3D. So we have a large cost, and it costs something like 100 million CPU hours per year to go on with our simulations on different supercomputers. So the main algorithm of this code is the following. So we have an explicit scheme. It is a Fortran 90 code with MPI and OpenMP in it. And we have mainly distribution function as main unknown here, f, that depends on r, theta, and phi, so the torus, the variables that describe the torus, and v parallel and mu, which are the velocity variables. Mainly, we have a time loop with a set of operators here solved beforehand, and then the main Vlasov equation, which costs a lot. So in the Vlasov equation, we have splitted along several directions. So it's a splitting, advection along v parallel, advection along phi direction with a given domain decomposition. So here is the domain decomposition for MPI. So we have locality in mu, r, and theta, and we have all the points in phi and v parallel. Then we have a transposition, so a big MPI point-to-point communication then. And then we have another domain decomposition. So here we have a decomposition along mu, phi, and v parallel. So it's different as before. We go on with the 2D advection along r and theta, and then go back with the transposition to perform the same kind of advection as before. So there is a big cost for this MPI communication, but let's say it remains reasonable. Here is a strong scaling. So you have execution time here and the number of cores here. You see that the time decrease with the increase of the number of cores. here in black thin line you have the total time, and here in red the Vlasov equation solver. So you see that is the first consumer in terms of execution time. We have a good strong scaling with 60% of relative efficiency at this number of cores on several machines. With this code, what we want to do, we want to perform physics simulation and improve the physics. We want also to adapt to new architectures and reduce, the cost and optimize this code. So the test bed we use for this work is the Marconi system that has been described yesterday. So Eurofusion consortium that target fusion energy have about a given number of nodes within this Marconi machine. So we have access to many resources there. So here are the nodes that we can access in this Marconi machine. We have access to Skylake nodes since 1 month ago, or 2 months. You have the number of cores written here. So we have something very, close between KNL and Skylake. The vector register is also close in KNL and Skylake. And we have fast access to memory, so large memory bandwidths with KNL and Skylake compared to Broadwell. So in this machine, you have Intel OmniPath network. And what is, very cool is that we can compare the different architecture with the same network. So it's quite interesting to have these results. So the first bench of improvement we made since a bit more than 1 year. So the first point was to improve the load balancing, because on the new architecture we have a lot of threads per node. So we have to adapt the code and the OpenMP things in order to improve load balancing. So we add extra fine-grained loops for this. And you see here the timeline execution before the improvements and after. So before, you have here the thread number in ordinate and the timeline as abscissa. And you see here in this zone many black pixels. So it means that the cores are idle there. And after improving the load balancing and try to merge, OpenMP zones all together, not all, but a bit of OpenMP zone together, we achieve that there is no more idle cores in this zone. So it's the main, costly part of the advection, the 2D advection part. Adding also hyper-threading, and with load balancing, we achieve, almost 40% of improvement on execution time. So that was, kind of the first step before going to KNL. Because on KNL, we will have more than 100 threads going on with hyper-threading. So it's almost important to have a good load balancing. Then we add a first set of profiling and performance analysis with guys from Atos and Intel. And here are the first optimizations done for KNL. So we have removed some conditionals. We will see an example just afterwards. We remove also nested loops whenever it's possible, because we add many nested loops with very few iterations within each loop, and it's not well optimized by the compiler. We avoid a divide operation because we see that it is a costly operation on KNL, which is not the case for Skylake and Broadwell. we reformulate some mathematical expression in order to better vectorize. So it's some refactoring of the code in order that the compiler found what he is looking for vectorization. We remove the many inline. We remove some function calls in order to have inline subroutine calls. We introduce also small vector as local variables, which is a standard technique in order to for the compiler to find a better way to vectorize, and add some SIMD and IVDeep directives in order to indicate to the compiler how to vectorize. Last thing, we also investigate many deployment strategies. And for KNL, the most efficient one was 4 MPI process of 32 threads on one KNL node. Then we have a better locality with the quadrant configuration of the nodes. So we typically have 2 threads per core and 1 MPI process per quadrant. So I hope that you see the code in the room, but yeah, I will show before and after the modification we have done for a set of example. So in this example, we have 4 loops here, but in many cases we have only 1 real loop and 3 indices that are fixed. Okay, so at many places we will have these things, but only along one direction. So we have specialized the code in order that clearly in the code appear only the loops that is acting. This way, the compiler doesn't do not see these loops and is more efficient. We also move the conditional here from the inner loop to outside the loop. So it was possible, we have made it, and it's a great advantage to do this. We also avoid the call here by just, this routine was an accessor, so we remove the call and put only the value accessed in the array. We simplified all this stuff in order to have just one expression to put in the to the variable here, so the array. And we also have a pre-computation of the divide in order that in the inner loop there is no division. Yeah?
Do you try to collapse the loop, like with the comma collapse?
Yeah, but the main thing is that really we have just one index, in 3 of the loops, and really just one loop acting. So if the compiler sees exactly what you want to do, it's much more efficient than just going with trying to put pragmas, because there is no parallelism here. So what is the impact on the code performance? So here you have the Broadwell node. So it's a comparison on a one node basis. So we have 2 MPI process per node on Broadwell and Skylake and 4 on the KNL. Because on Broadwell and Skylake we cannot use hyperthreading, and on KNL we can use hyperthreading. So it's kind of different setting, but at the end it's the same problem. And we are just looking to the execution time. So main improvement is here in blue, in percentage, and execution time is shown here in black. So what we can see is that KNL is a bit more costly than Broadwell. So the percentage is the execution time we got at the end of this first optimization phase compared to the initial version. And what we see also is Skylake is way better than the 2 other architectures. So advection in 1D, advection in 2D, we gain there. The communication transpose is also improved because within the communication we have also copy of buffers, so that's why we have improved this thing. So I will go to the second set of improvement. So at the beginning of the year, mainly it's targeting advection, so the main costly part which is inside the Vlasov solver. So first thing which revealed to be very important is to avoid long-strided access and to promote unit-strided. So we do not change the way computation are done, but just we have copied some small buffers in order to have much more contiguous access. I will show the example just after. We also have changed the numerical scheme, so we have moved from cubic splines to interpolate to Lagrange interpolators that are more efficient in terms of vectorization. We remove many divide operation, and we also investigate MCD-RAM setting versus so flat MCD-RAM setting versus cache mode, and it reveals that after many tests we gain on MPI communication with the cache mode. So quadrant plus cache is more effective for our application than flat MCD-RAM. No, no. But you can, as Asma said, you can just say that you prefer that allocation for your application and MPI stuff is done by on MCD-RAM. So it's HBW there is a setting of one variable to say that you prefer that allocation are done on the MCD-RAM.
That means that the whole memory footprint of your application fit into the MCD-RAM.
Yeah, for a dedicated test, I just shrink the test case in order that it fits. Yeah, so the first thing was to copy data. So here, in this advection along V parallel, we here copy the distribution function here from memory to a small buffer. So what is interesting is that we use both the most contiguous variable and the most external, so the most long-strided access here variable, and we copy it at once. So that means that just in having this loop over R direction, we have a unit stride access. Okay, so we do not pay for long-strided access along V parallel. Then we do the job here, the useful work, and copy back into the distribution function. And just this modification have a big impact on the performance. So that's very near the behavior, the techniques that you use on GPU, copy and copy back. And also we avoid the if statement here by copying extra data in the buffers. So in order to avoid if for boundary conditions, we prefer to copy data, and it is much more efficient that way. Second modification is Lagrange interpolators. So during the last year, we have seen that computation tends to be cheaper and cheaper in comparison to access in memory. So higher order method is expected to be of great use because we can really crunch many flop at once. So we used higher order Lagrange of degree 5 instead of cubic spline. So it's much more compact code, and the compiler is able to vectorize it very efficiently. So also the Lagrange interpolator avoids the complex step of spline coefficient computation that includes a LU solve in it. Also, so there is some comparison of the number of operations needed for these interpolators. You see that for multiply and add, the 1D Lagrange fifth order is a bit more costly than 1D spline, but Lagrange avoids a division. For 2D, there is much more computation to do with Lagrange compared to 2D spline, but we avoid the 2D division. And the thing is that, yes, we perform much more operation, but these operations can be well vectorized. So at the end, it's faster. So comparison of time compared to the previous version. So after the first optimization, so just focusing on what have been done in this second set of improvements. And here you see the advantage of both the Lagrange interpolators and the copy of the buffer. And it's really a huge improvement on KNL here on 1D advection, because 1D advection was on V parallel, which is the most external variable. We also have the bad news is that physicists have added some, diagnostics in situ processing, so we have lose something here. But that's the way it goes. So we have a gain, but what is not, fair with KNL is that we gain on all places. So we try to have, more vectorized, more efficient code on KNL, but we gain on all platforms. So, as we gain on all platforms, we tried this last set of improvement to focus really on vectorization and only vectorization. So, a colleague, Yuichi Asai, have tried to optimize the source operators. Optimization have been done on collision also by Tamas Fair in Germany. In this part, we have, coupled together many small LU system solve. So let's say you have a set of LU solve that requires, sequential computations. If you group them, you can have a vectorization along the different right-hand side and different left-hand side of your computations. So that's a trick that really is efficient, very efficient on KNL. I will show an example. We also do this kind of operation, so gathering LU system in other operators. And we also have done many code refactoring in order to very simplify the mathematical expression in order that the compiler really efficiently compile it. So this step was really long because you don't know what the compiler is going to do. So you have to put your modification, look at the performance, see if there is an improvement or not. And another complexity comes from the difference of performance on all the platforms. So on Broadwell, you can improve your computational time, and not on KNL, and it is okay on Skylake. So I try to just decrease the execution time on all platforms when I put a modification, which is kind of complex.
Then how do you do in practice? So you make a modification and run on the Swift platform and look at how it behaves?
Yeah. And try to figure out if it is a good choice or not. Okay. It's not, yeah. For example, a practical example, if you put a SIMD directive on one loop, KNL could be really good at this SIMD directive, and Broadwell does not. But IVDeep directive we will work very kindly on these two devices. So it's really complex to figure out if one modification is really good for all platforms. Okay, and the last thing is auto-tuning. So I will also give an overview of that. So first modification is on source operator trying to vectorize a bit better. So at the beginning we had these 4 loops, and after modification we have only 2 loops, and then go with a copy of some data over the R direction, which is the most conspicuous one, and then go with another loop. And within the last loop, we have a directive that says that the compiler should vectorize. So typically here we have loop splitting. We try to decompose the loop in a small bunch in order that the compiler could really well vectorize on very small bunch of instructions. The optimization about LU solving. So here we will introduce many right-hand side and many left-hand side. So it requires that we change a bit the way routines are called. So it changes a lot of places in the code, but it's worth doing. So here is at the beginning the call to dpttrf that is a factorization of matrix A, which is a small matrix, a three-diagonal matrix. And after you have this, so you compute the factorization and you put the division of the diagonal inside a dedicated data structure. So that's one of the tricks we have to use, is to add many temporary data structures to solve to put pre-computations in it. Then here you have just building the right-hand side and call to dpttrs, and here we build many system and call a modified version of dpttrs in order that we both have access to the vectorization with this NRHs that say that we want to perform many LU systems at once, and also to put the precomputation of the reciprocal of the diagonal. Last thing is the auto-tuning tool. So we tried both framework in order to generate code. So it's very much like what we have seen yesterday with PyFR. So we have some kind of meta programming. So you say, I want to do that in a specific language, and also exhibit parameters that will induce, some that will put, I don't know, vector of a given size, loop splitting with some exotic, patterns. And at the end, you run auto-tuning, so you generate many pieces of codes with both. You compile it, you run it, and you see what is the best kernel that you can achieve on one given platform. When you know that, you put back your code in the main code, and you do it like that on a given architecture. So you need to auto-tune on each targeted platform. So here an example of the meta program and the output program in Fortran and C. So you can generate different languages also, in order to try if the compiler is is the best to compile C or Fortran con typically. And often it's Fortran, but not in every situation. So we use this BOAST approach in order to scan a large set of parameters on the 2D advection kernel. We have the auto-tuning process, and this achieved to have, let's say, a speed-up factor between 1.7 and 3.6 on KNL. So it's a really, I think, it's a kind of methodology that we can think for exascale machine to have meta-programming and really try by various ways to auto-tune the kernels. So here are the results compared to the previous version. So on 1D advection, we have done quite nothing, so there is not so much improvement, apart from using contiguous. I have not said it, but yeah. We try to put contiguous, which is a Fortran syntax to say that arrays are contiguous. And this helped us to have, a small gain on some parts. So the auto-tuning you see here has really a large impact on KNL because we really can have good vector size in order that the compiler gives the best results in terms of execution time. The heat source have been so heat source diffusion and diagnostic have been much improved by the, the LU solve trick in order to put them all together to vectorize on the better. And at the end, we have KNL going faster than Broadwell. So it's worth the pain. And Skylake is really way better than the two others. So compared to the initial version, so you have the comparison in terms of percentage, we have gained really a lot, and much more on KNL and Skylake, which indicates that vectorization is, on a good way. So speed up of 7 on advection, so it's not nothing. 7 is a really big improvement. So now Vlasov is, is competing with the other parts of the code to have the first place. And we also have gained a factor 2 to 3 on each platform. But yeah, you see that at the end we have, let's say, a factor 2 between Skylake and Broadwell. So I think we will, all of us, appreciate the Skylake machine. So now a strong scaling over 128 nodes. So why this number is because on Marconi system, for KNL partition, I cannot access to more than 200 nodes, so it's not possible for me to have larger, comparison. So here you have this number of nodes, and depending of the tip of the node, you have not the same number of cores here. So relative efficiency on Broadwell, on KNL, and on Skylake. For different parts of the code. So the Vlasov is in red here, and the total execution time is the total relative efficiency for all the code is in black here, thick line. So we have here a superlinear speedup because we can fit it to the cache for the Vlasov solver. It really matters, but we cannot on KNL because we have too many threads. So we have hyper-threading, so it's the demand is quite large over the memory. And not on Marconi also. I know that the L3 cache is smaller on Skylake, but I don't know exactly the figures. So we have a good efficiencies here at the end, but we have a problem to scale field solver and derivative computation because of communication within. So that's these two curves here, because of communication and complex patterns. And on KNL, it's much more severe, the problem. For the execution time, so kind of the same setting, Broadwell, KNL, and Skylake, we see that they are pretty close, but at the end, because I really, look at this figure all the time, I improve the parts of the code because it's really meaningful in our code that all, parts are optimized at the same level, because if you have, let's say, in the middle of the process of optimizing, I add the collision and the source very high here near the Vlasov solver. So I know that there are much effort to put on this place because they are not at the right place. Okay, at the end, it's okay. We just have a bit of overhead on KNL, on field solver, on derivative computation due to communication, and we don't know just now how to improve this thing. So you have here, you cannot see, but I will just show you this line here for the derivative computation. It is here for the KNL, so we know that it is not at the good place. We should, lower this line in order that it is above, like in Skylake also. And at the end, if you optimize your code, you have much more time due to communications. So at the end, we have something like half of our Vlasov solver in communication stuff. So we now have to improve this thing. So to summarize, we have improved the execution time on all the machines that we targeted, so that's good news. KNL goes slightly faster than Broadwell on a node-to-node comparison basis, but not when you scale. So I didn't show that explicitly, but when you scale at, let's say 100 nodes, KNL is a bit slower than Broadwell because of this problem of communication that I have. The perspective for Exascale is to vectorize even more, to overlap communication by computation, because it's really important now that the communication takes a big part of the execution time. We have to auto-tune other kernels also. And a question about MCD-RAM, should we really get interested in this MCD-RAM, because I don't know if we can really get efficient things on this memory. And I would like to thank the ECOE project that invite us and really support this activity. Thanks a lot, I'm done.